Even the most critical of Hadith followers will agree that according to traditional Sunni Islam, Sahih Al-Bukhari is the most authentic book after the Quran. So naturally, we should be able to trace Sahih Bukhari back to the person accredited for collecting and compiling this authoritative and definite Hadith compilation, and if not complete copies, at least manuscripts written by Imam Bukhari, right? Well, not really. No copy or manuscript written by Imam Bukhari exists today. Well, that's hardly a problem when Imam Bukhari had hundreds if not thousands of students, and his compilation reached us via numerous mass transmissions by his students, right? But unfortunately, that is not the case either. The farthest we can go back with the Sahih Bukhari is to this one alleged student of Imam Bukhari, Muḥammad ibn Yūsuf al-Farabri. Why alleged? Because outside of him himself saying that Bukhari had 70,000 students, all have died, and I am the only one who remains, there is very little evidence he actually even was a student of Bukhari. And we actually don't even have copies or manuscripts by Muḥammad ibn Yūsuf al-Farabri himself, the closest being within 1 to 2 generations after his passing, but scholars claim they follow his transmission line and recension. Anyways, let's put that aside for now. None of this would really be an issue until you start to examine the Sahih Bukhari according to the criteria set by muhaddisin, the Hadith scholars, in their Hadith sciences. For a Hadith to be declared Sahih, every narrator in a chain must have been vouched for as thika, meaning trustworthy, of sane mind and good memory. So obviously, people only who know a certain someone can vouch for him or her. If you have never met a person, or that person died before you were even born, can you give a personal guarantee that person was thika? And even if you do, what real value does your vouching for him really have? So every narrator in a chain has to be vouched for, and if he isn't, then that hadith, according to hadith sciences, cannot be classified as sahih. So what's the problem here, you ask? The problem is, no one ever really vouched for Muḥammad ibn Yūsuf al-Farabri in his lifetime. He is an unknown. So any hadith that has a narrator that is unknown, meaning unvouched for, can at best be classified as majhul. A majhul hadith falls under da'if hadith classification, meaning weak hadith. There are even subcategories of majhul hadith, but let's not get too technical here. And since the entire compilation of Sahih Bukhari goes back to this one, unvouched for person Mr. Muḥammad ibn Yūsuf al-Farabri, meaning the 7,563 narrations contained in all the 9 volumes of Sahih Bukhari are transmitted by this one narrator or majhul. As per Sunni Islam, the most authentic book after the Quran cannot be, with all sincerity according to their own sciences, be labeled as Sahih. So the Sahih is not so Sahih after all. The Hadith followers and scholars realized this, and 242 years after Farabri died posthumously, declared him Thika al-Dahabi in 748 Hijri, and then al-Hajar as late as 852 Hijri. Now this also created another problem with their great book, the Ilm al-Rijal. The scholars had put authored, showing how all the narrators in every chain was Thika with stories and biographies, since Farabri didn't have any. So they made up new rules to cover up such huge gaping holes and discrepancies, or risk losing their most authentic book. So the new rule was posthumous. Tawthiq, meaning endorsement, is allowed if the narrator's work was judged reliable, their students were trustworthy, and there was no real criticism. All arbitrary and open-ended, subjective, vague standards. So in the end, no real copies or manuscripts of the Bukhari exist. All of them are traced back to this one alleged self-proclaimed student of his, al-Farabrī, who no one in his lifetime vouched for that he was a trustworthy man. And this is what majority of the traditional Islam is based on today. Majority of what is followed and believed in comes from this one collection, the so-called most authentic book after the Quran, which fails miserably to call itself authentic according to the traditionalists' own sciences and scholars.